dense WDM optical networks. Okay, so if you have seen FPG, FPG is a static device, so it acts like a passive device. So we call fiber Bragg grating as a passive device, whereas tunable optical filter, it will be called as an active device because uh, this tunable optical filters can be tuned in such a way that they can start filtering out individual wavelengths or selected wavelengths. Okay, so that is the reason why tunable optical filters are called as active devices. Okay, so in order to construct or implement these tunable optical filters, we have two methods. One can adopt MEMS based method or Bragg grating based method. Okay, so I will be explaining the Bragg grating method because I have already explained the fiber Bragg grating, and the same method can be extended in order to implement your tunable optical filters. Okay, so MEMS based method, I'll be coming back to MEMS based method after I discussed MEMS technology. Okay, so fiber Bragg gratings are being used in order to filter out individual wavelengths or any selected wavelengths. Whereas if you can take a static fiber Bragg grating, once it is fabricated, it can only extract or reflect a particular wavelength. But if we can uh, support that fiber Bragg grating with additional methods, so that we can change the static fiber Bragg grating as a dynamic fiber Bragg grating, so that it can be used as tunable optical filters. Okay, so tunable optical filters which are based on fiber Bragg grating, it involves stretching and relaxation process. Okay, so please understand these two terms: stretching and relaxation process of the spacing inside the fiber grating. So spacing in the sense the spacing between the shallow oval shaped structures. Okay, so once you have seen because you have seen these shallow oval shaped structures which are formed inside the fiber core, so if you can stretch and relax that section of the fiber, so that this spacing between the shallow ovals can be changed temporarily. So that temporary change in the spacing or the area of the shallow ovals itself result in reflecting different wavelength signals. Okay, so I can just go through the statement. Since glasses is a slightly stretchable medium, an optical fiber can be stretched to a certain limit, and the grating inside the optical fiber can also be stretched. If you can stretch the optical fiber, the grating that is placed inside the fiber can also be stretched to certain extent, and the spacing inside the grating, that is the shallow ovals, can also be stretched and relaxed temporarily. Okay. We'll just go through the statement. Before the fiber is being stretched, the central wavelength of lambda c of a fiber grating filter is given by lambda c is equal to 2n effective into inverted V. So inverted V is the period of your shallow oval shaped structures. N effective is the effective refractive index of that shallow oval shaped structure. Okay, inverted V is the period. Right? So when you are elongating the uh, fiber grating by a distance of delta V, inverted V, that means to say to what amount you are going to stretch the fiber grating. So that is given by distance delta inverted V. It corresponds to change in the uh, wavelength by an amount delta lambda c. So you can see here in the first equation, lambda c is defined as 2n effective into inverted V. So wherein which we have not yet elongated the fiber. But if you want to elongate the fiber to a certain extent for distance inverted V, delta inverted V, the corresponding change in the central wavelength that can be reflected will be delta lambda c, which is equal to 2n effective delta inverted V. So the change in the wavelength that can be reflected by the fiber grating, it depends on the change in the distance of the grating period. Okay. So these are the these are the three popular methods of stretching relaxation of your optical fiber section where the setting is being placed. These three methods are thermomechanical method, piezoelectric based method, stepper motor based method. So these are the three popular methods of stretching and relaxation of that section of the fiber wherein which the grating is being already placed. Okay. So let me explain the first method, that is thermomechanical. So you can see this top uh, layer is your optical fiber where grating is being inserted already. To that we have fixed a low expansion frame. So this low expansion frame is fixed to that section of the fiber where grating is being placed. Okay, is it clear? So this is being fixed to the fiber grating, and inside that frame, low expansion frame, we have an high expansion bar. So it's a different material which is called as high expansion bar. So after which, if you apply heat uh, from the outside and low expansion frame, and the heat it can also enter the inside the frame, and it start increasing the temperature of the high expansion bar. So once the high expansion bar is heated to certain temperature, it start expanding. So once the high expansion bar is started expanding horizontally, your fiber which is connected through a low expansion frame will also start expanding. So once the fiber section of the fiber start expanding, the shallow oval shaped structure will also start expanding. So once they start expanding, they start reflecting a different wavelength. So that is given by delta lambda c, which is equal to 2n effective into delta inverted V. Okay. So this high expansion bar will start expanding horizontally, thereby stretching the optical fiber grating section. Once the fiber grating section is expanded, the shallow structure will start expanding, and they will start reflecting a different wavelength, which was different from when it is not being expanded. So like that, uh, the amount of expansion is dependent on the amount of heat that you are applying to a high expansion bar. Okay, so this is the first method. The low expansion frame will not take enough temperature, so only the high expansion bar, which is a different material, is going to heat. It's going to absorb the heat and it start expanding horizontal. So horizontal expansion of the high expansion bar will also expand the fiber grating section horizontal, thereby stretching the shallow oval shaped structure. Okay. So that's about the thermomechanical method. The same concept is applicable even in the second technique, that is piezoelectric stack. So instead of having a high expansion bar inside the low expansion frame, so we have a piezoelectric stack here. So piezoelectric material is being used here in order to expand the grating structure, and that is being placed similarly with respect to high expansion bar in the first technique, but the only different method here is, instead of applying heat for a high expansion bar in the first method, we are applying an electric current to a piezoelectric stack. So once the piezoelectric stack uh, receives an electric current, it starts expanding horizontally. So this piezoelectric stack, if it starts expanding horizontally through a low expansion frame which is fixed to the optical fiber grating, it also starts stretching the that section of the fiber, thereby again expanding the shallow oval shaped structure. So once the shallow oval shaped structure has been expanded to an amount of delta lambda, delta inverted p, the fiber Bragg grating will start reflecting a different wavelength, delta lambda c. Okay, that's the second method, piezoelectric based. Third is using stepper motor based. Okay, so again we have a fiber grating, and we have a low expansion frame that is being fixed to the grating section, and inside the low expansion frame we have a stepper motor. So stepper motor can uh, move in either direction. So it can move in either direction, right or left. So how to operate the stepper motor? Again, you have to give an electric control. So once the electric control is applied to a stepper motor, stepwise it starts moving either in the left direction or the right direction. So once the stepper motor starts moving in the left or right direction, so it's again nothing but stretching the low expansion frame either towards right side or left side. So once you start stretching the low expansion frame left or right, it means to say that you are stretching the fiber grating horizontally, or you are relaxing the fiber grating horizontally. So this is the third method in which we can achieve tunable optical filter. Third method is based on stepper motor. So stepper motor will also stretch or relax the fiber brag rating when an electric current is being applied to the stepper motor. Okay. So these are the three popular methods of fixing a particular wavelength which has to be reflected by the fiber brag rating. And these techniques are called as active uh, uh, tunable optical filters are come under the active devices because we can tune the grating in such a way that it can start reflecting multiple wavelengths or different wavelengths based on the spacing, stretching of the shallow oval shaped structure. That's about extension of fiber grating uh, as an application in tunable optical filter. So we saw application of fiber brag grating in demultiplexing and multiplexing as a passive device. So same fiber brag grating can be acted as a active device in order to implement your tunable optical filter. Okay. So I'll just move on to the next optical active device, that is variable optical attenuators. So what is the usefulness of this variable optical attenuators? So if you have a wavelength division multiplex network, so in that network we will be placing multiple channels. So there will be n number of different channels. If you can take dense WDM, so the number of channels will obviously be more. So in that case, all the wavelength channels which are exiting out of an optical amplifier. So optical amplifiers are placed in between your wavelength division multiplexer. So if you can recall the operating principle of WDM, so we have placed multiple amplifiers in between the transmission and reception of your WDM. So whenever all the wavelength of different channels are coming out of an optical amplifier, they are not going to be of same signal level. So in order to maintain the same signal level, we are going to place an optical attenuator, that is variable optical attenuator, which will attenuate certain channel of the certain signals of the channel, so that uniformity is being maintained, uniform gain is being maintained after the output of an optical filter, sorry, optical amplifier. So this variable optical attenuator, it offers a dynamic signal level control. So it is going to dynamically control the signal level which is coming out of an optical amplifier. Okay. So most important function of this variable optical attenuator is it will attenuate high amplitude signals of multiple channels or different channels, so that a uniform gain or uniformity in the signal level is being maintained at the output of the optical amplifier. Again, there are different methods of implementing this variable optical attenuator. It can be implemented using mechanical based, thermo-optic based, MEMS based, and electro-optic methods. So these are the different methods wherein a variable optical attenuator can be constructed: MEMS based, mechanical based, thermo-optic based, electro-optic based techniques. So among these four, the popular ones are MEMS based and electro-optic based techniques. So electro-optic based techniques are similar to whatever I have discussed with respect to this piezoelectric based grating control as well as stepper motor based grating control. Okay. So MEMS based technology, after I explain the MEMS based technology, so that you can understand how the MEMS technology can be applied in order to implement your variable optical attenuator. Okay. So you just go through the statement. When wavelengths are added, dropped, or routed in a WDM system, this variable optical attenuator, it can manage the optical power fluctuation uh, and other simultaneously propagating wavelength signals. Okay, so this BOA will be dynamically maintaining the signal level uh, in a multiplexing network, wherein which multiple wavelengths can be added or dropped, or some of the wavelengths can be routed. Okay. So the main job of the variable optical attenuator is to attenuate high amplitude signal so that all the signals of multiple channels will be having the same or common signal level, so that a gain of the optical amplifier is uniformly being maintained. That's the reason why we go for variable optical attenuator. Okay. So to extend this variable optical attenuator, so we have a device called as dynamic gain equalizer. So dynamic gain equalizer is used to reduce the attenuation of individual wavelengths within a spectral band. So if you have understood variable optical attenuator, so variable optical attenuator is going to attenuate only one particular wavelength, so that the amplitude of that wavelength signal is being dropped and the uniformity is being maintained. But since in a WDM system we have multiple channels and each channel will have a different wavelength, so single variable optical attenuator cannot be used in order to maintain the uniformity of the signal level of all the channels. So in that case, we go for dynamic gain equalizers. So dynamic gain equalizer is used to reduce the attenuation of the individual wavelengths within a spectral band. Spectral band means, so if we can take some band of 50 nanometer or 30 nanometer, inside that band we can place multiple channels of different wavelengths. So that is what we call it a spectral band. So the function of dynamic gain equalizer is equivalent to filtering out individual wavelength, equalizing them on the channel by channel basis. Okay. So you can see you can go through the diagram. So we have an output wavelength amplitudes from an EDFA. EDFA here stands for erbium doped fiber amplifier. So it's a kind of amplifier which is going to amplify your signal level. So detailed discussion of EDFA will be taken later. Okay. So the output signals of different wavelength which are coming out of an EDFA amplifier will have this uh, signal levels, so which are variable. So you can see here on the left hand side we have a signal level of different amplitudes here. So once all these signal levels are passed into a dynamic gain equalizer, the output of dynamic gain equalizer, you can see all signal levels will have same signal strength or same amplitude. So which we call it as equalized wavelength amplitudes. Okay. So output of dynamic gain equalizer, we can achieve equalized wavelength of all the signals. So that's the function of dynamic gain equalizer. So extension of variable optical attenuator will result in dynamic gain equalizer, where dynamic gain equalizer is being constructed using multiple variable optical attenuators. Okay. So if you have here say some 7 different wavelength signals which are coming out of EDFA of different amplitudes or strength. So we need we need 7 variable optical attenuators that are being used inside the dynamic gain equalizer, so that each optical attenuator is going to select that particular wavelength, and it is going to balance or it's going to equalize the amplitude of that wavelength. Okay. So multiple variable optical attenuators will be used in order to construct your dynamic gain equalizer. So if you can go through this example, within a 4 terahertz spectral range, that is 4 terahertz is equivalent to 32 nanometer. So that is your spectral band. 32 nanometers is the spectral band. A dynamic gain equalizer can individually attenuate the optical power of 40 channels which are spaced at a spacing of 100 gigahertz, that is equivalent to 0.8 nanometer, or 80 channels can be spaced at 50 gigahertz, that is equivalent to 0.4 nanometer. Okay. So this is how a dynamic gain equalizer can pick a particular wavelength attenuate a particular wavelength amplitude so that uniformity is being maintained for all the signals which are coming out of different channels, which are related to different channels. Okay, so a single DGE, it can operate up to 40 channels or 40 individual wavelengths if the spacing between them is 100 gigahertz. But the same DGE, it can operate up to 80 channels if the spacing between them is even closer, that is 0.4 nanometer or 50 gigahertz. So in that case, if 40 channels and 80 channels can be attenuated by DGE, so many such variable optical attenuators has to be present inside the DGE, or uh, stage by stage the variable optical attenuators are uh, selected and they can be used to attenuate individual wavelengths. Okay? So you just go through the last statement of this dynamic gain equalizer. The controlling of dynamic gain equalizer is based on the feedback information that is received from a performance monitoring card. So DG is nothing but it's like an instrument which has a performance monitoring card. A feedback from that card is being received, or the information related to the uh, the performance of the DG is being received through that performance monitoring card, and that provides the parameter values that are need to adjust and adapt to required link specification. So operating this dynamic gain equalizer can be controlled electronically, or it can be configured using a software which is sitting inside the microprocessor. Okay, so controlling of DGE can be done through an electronical means, or can be done through a software, controlling using a software through some hardware device. Okay, so that's about dynamic gain equalizer, which is being constructed using multiple variable optical attenuators. The main job of dynamic gain equalizer is to attenuate individual wavelength signals so that the uniformity from all the channels is being maintained. So that is how uh, a uniform gain or a stable gain is being obtained from an optical amplifier. Okay. So let me move on to the next active device, that is optical add-drop multiplexer. So optical add-drop multiplexer, you can just go through the construction. Multi-port device. So any signal that can be added into a channel, or any signal that has to be dropped out of the channel, can be done through this optical add-drop multiplexer. So in short form, we call it as OADM. Okay. So you can see we have input ports, we have output ports, we also have add ports and drop ports. So add ports are the one which will be adding uh, wavelengths in between. Drop ports are the one which will be removing certain wavelengths. So the function of OIDM is to insert, that is nothing but adding, or extract, which is nothing but dropping one or more selected wavelengths at the designated point in an optical network. So at any point in an optical network which is uh, designated, we can use a miniature MEMS based miniature mirror so that we can add particular channel in that designated point, or we can remove a particular wavelength channel in a predefined or a designated point using this optical add-drop multiplexer, where MEMS based miniature mirrors are placed inside the optical add-drop multiplexer, or OADM. Okay. So say for example here, so let us consider uh, wavelength 3, or any wavelength that is carried through input port 3. So that wavelength has to be dropped. So using an electronic means, we can change the direction of this MEMS based miniature mirror so that um, these MEMS based miniature mirrors are deflected at an angle, say 45 degrees or certain angle, so that this mirror will start reflecting that particular wavelength that is entering through port 3, input port 3. So once it start reflecting, it will come out of drop a port. Okay, so here we are going to sense and actuate. Sensing means we are going to sense which wavelength has to be selected in order to drop, or which wavelength needs to be added inside the network. So here wavelength signal which is coming through port 3, input port 3, has to be dropped. So that particular uh, path in which the MEMS based miniature mirror is placed has to be actuated. So that actuation can be done through electronic means or electro-optic means. Okay. So once that mirror is being actuated, uh, if it is not actuated, it will be horizontal. But since it is actuated now, it will be aligned at an angle, say 45 degree, so that the light signal that is incident on the mirror will be reflected, and the reflection is happening in such a way that it will come out of drop port. So what we have done here, we have dropped a particular wavelength that is coming through port 3, input port 3. So consider the other situation where we need to add a particular wavelength into the network. So if you want to add a particular wavelength into a network, so that is taken through add port. So through add port, we are inserting that particular wavelength signal, and we are going to actuate particular MEMS based miniature mirror in that path, so that it will be aligned again to a certain angle. So once it is aligned to a certain angle, so it will reflect the light which is incident on the mirror. So once it is reflected, so it will follow a path which is inside the channel or inside the network channel. So it will start coming out of the output port. So in the sense, that particular wavelength which is being reflected by this MEMS based miniature mirror will start reflecting that wavelength, and it will now onwards become a part of your optical network. So this is how we can uh, add a particular wavelength into an optical network. So we can have a MEMS based miniature mirrors wherever you find this add port and drop port points. All those mirrors has to be actuated, otherwise they will be uh, placed horizontally. So once they are placed horizontally, they are not going to reflect any wavelength. Only if they are actuated, so that if they are going to align at particular angle, only then the reflection is going to be take place, and they will start reflecting the light which is incident on the surface. Okay, so this is an active device, optical add-drop multiplexer, which is being used in order to include a particular wavelength signal into your optical network, or if you want to drop a particular signal from your optical network. So that's about optical add-drop multiplexer.